people like Nnamdi Kanu today.
Nnamdi
Kanu. People like Nnamdi Kanu trying to resurrect that Biafra spirit. What would you say, or what would your advice to people like Nnamdi Kanu, the Yoruba nation, those people that are agitating for a split from Nigeria? What would your advice or suggestion be to them?
I said, you cannot defeat Biafra. And people thought I was merely talking of they took a very simplistic approach to understanding that. They thought I was talking about the battlefield, on the battlefield. Well, that was involved as well. Because when the people are determined, they're willing to sacrifice anything to preserve their identity. When they feel they're on a righteous cause, it's difficult to defeat them.
Yes.
It's a mistake keeping Nnamdi Kanu in prison, I believe, to have, in fact, kidnapped him. There's no other word in the first place.
That's true.
He had a right to pursue his cause anywhere.
Yes, depending on when and where you are seeing this video from. And one of the most respected men in this country, Prof.Wole-Soyinka, Nnamdi Kanu and the federal government for 3 years now. Professor Wole-Soyinka during an interview yesterday, so many intelligent things, so many reasonable words concerning the freedom of Nnamdi Kanu. That the kidnap of Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya was a very big mistake Nigerian government making. And it's even a more bigger mistake keeping Nnamdi Kanu in detention. And there are a lot of things Professor Wole-Soyinka concerning this Biafran agitation. Nigerian government cannot stop this Biafran movement. It's a fact. Settle down, watch this video. Settle down, do not skip any part of this video. Professor Wole-Soyinka from the horse's mouth. He clear the video, he drop one opinion in the comment section, and Biko, make sure you share this video. Watch the rest of the video, guys. I will be right back.
People like Nnamdi Kanu today. Nnamdi Kanu. People like Nnamdi Kanu trying to resurrect that Biafra spirit. What would you say, or what would your advice to people like Nnamdi Kanu, the Yoruba nation, those people that are agitating for a split from Nigeria? What would your advice or suggestion be to them from your experience?
Well, the first thing I have to say is that I said at the time, and this was what got me into serious trouble, because they felt that by making such statement, in fact, it was singled out. By making such a statement, I was trying to demoralize the federal side and actively promoting the Biafran cause. When I said, and I wrote, I said, you cannot defeat Biafra. And people thought I was merely talking of they took a very simplistic approach to understanding that. They thought I was talking about the battlefield, on the battlefield. Well, that was involved as well. Because when the people are determined, they're willing to sacrifice anything to preserve their identity. When they feel they're on a righteous cause, it's difficult to defeat them.
Yes.
If there's any, shall we say, military defeat, it's only temporary. The real issue remains unsolved. I mean, that's a lesson of history all over the world.
Yes.
And so when I made that statement, I was saying, that notion, that concept, and all that it involved, both antecedents and the present, and also, in fact, including the future, seeing what the people who are determined to go on their own, seeing what they could become. That is part and parcel of the cause. And when you have that kind of binding combination of different causes, it's very difficult to defeat them. And so Nnamdi Kanu represents that concept. He is one of the younger generation who inherited a burden of defeat, of resentment, and a determination, in their view, not to make the mistakes of even their predecessors. They have a new will, they have a new... for me, it's just counterproductive.
Yes. I want to talk about literature, Prof, and education. Obviously, you won the Nobel Prize for Literature, the first African, I believe, to have won that prestigious prize. And looking at where our standard of education is now, we're talking in the car coming here, how it's dropped so far. What would you say, how would you describe it today, and how do you think we can solve it? How can we get better universities, better lecturers, a more engaging student group? How can we come back again to where I believe, according to you, we were before in the past when it comes to our education standards?
It requires a whole revamp of our mentality. The idea that you can rush people through a course and at the end give them a certificate, dealing with using the yardstick of quantity rather than quality, that has to be expunged. In fact, it's not the schools, it's not the pupils and the students who have to be re-educated first. It's the teachers themselves. They have to totally abandon this idea that education is perfunctory. and go back to those early times when education was educating the entire person, not education by rote, memorize and pour things down, regurgitate whatever is put in your head, but exposing young people to experience.